I'm curious, as far as punk goes, what are some of your earliest punk influences? What are some of the bands? Because there's a lot of different types of punk, so I'm curious to hear, what some of your earliest punk influences are.
I was really into East Coast hardcore, so like the Minor Threats,
Okay,
Bad Brains.
that's
But
my favorite.
Bad Brains.
Just like the East Coast,
Oh yeah.
even in the '90s, the East Coast had great like hardcore bands.
Oh yeah. You got Quicksand. You know what I mean? In the '90s, come out of New York, and Handsome.
And didn't he come from Gorilla Biscuits?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then, but SoCal had some cool stuff, coming out. So there was a difference. I still love the Descendants, things like that.
Yeah.
The happiness of it without it being dumb. You know what I mean? So, but I just loved, when I was a kid, it was like as fast as you could play, especially as a drummer. I just wanted to play as fast as you could.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then I think for me, when things changed is when I got to say, I think when Ian MacKaye, when Fugazi started, it was like, holy shit, they learned how to play their instruments. You know what I mean? Not that he didn't, but it was like,
Yeah.
whoa, they just exploded into this whole new rad, sound that was still Ian MacKaye, it's still there, still the straight edge, and I thought that was amazing. And I was like, it influenced me a lot as a kid.
I grew up in Salt Lake City where straight edge obviously is very big. So there's a little bit of that influence, I think, on me as well.
Right
on. So another thing I thought was interesting when you bring up punk, and someone pointed this out to me, and it blew me away because it's not even anything I thought about. But we were talking about grunge, and he brought up bands like Rancid and Green Day and The Offspring from the early '90s, and I was like, wow, I forgot about that. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't even call Offspring punk because it was a little more on the pop side, but there was a real explosion of into the mainstream of bands like Rancid and Green Day. And I mean, say whatever you want about Green Day, their indie albums are fantastic.
It's true. It's true. And you want to hate on bands that pop is popular. That's what it means.
Yeah.
And if a band hits the radio and gets, into the top 100 or the top 25, good for them.
Totally.
I mean? It's not selling out. Maybe it's buying in. I don't know. But if you wrote a damn good song and it is what it is, support
totally.
They're still playing those songs that they wrote 25 years ago. The first EP that came out or the first demo, they're still doing them. You know what I mean? They know the loyalty to the fans. They have the loyalty to the fans, and they know how the fans have been loyal for them. So I don't think you give up on your artist. You know what I mean? Because
especially if they don't radically change their sound. If they just get successful doing the thing they've always done, how can you hate on that?
Right. Exactly. I mean, isn't that what we're doing in life? Kind of, and their success can help others. So
yeah. A good example of that, Bad Religion, one of my favorite punk bands of all time, probably. And I think The Offspring kind of made their label Epitaph viable. Like once that Come Out and Play song broke, it was like that rising tide raised bands like NoFX and Bad Religion and Rancid. And
yeah, I'd agree with that 100%. That little bit of popness that Offspring has and their popularity brought up the label. Yeah, because you definitely want to go check out what else is on that label.
Yeah, and it also influxed them with cash to support bands like NoFX.
Yeah, that's a good point. That definitely helps. If a band is doing well for your label and the marketing money comes in, the marketing money is going to go out, that band blows up, or the label, the artist on that label will blow.
Yeah. I always thought that was a cool thing about those 90s bands like Korn, for example. When they broke, they brought so many bands with them. Limp Bizkit, the Deftones, and then Limp Bizkit turned around and did the same thing. Fred Durst brought up Stained and a couple other bands. So I always thought that was a super cool thing for musicians to do, like bring their friends with them when they.
Yeah, I mean, we're all in this together. That's how it works. You know what I mean? And if you're not going to help out there's a cool rivalry when you're, a younger band and you're out there, grinding. and cutting your teeth, but that rivalry shouldn't be a negative thing, you know, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And when it becomes a profession for you and you see how much of a family this really is, that all those weird different styles of music or this or that, you realize you're all feeling the same thing when you're out on the road and you're playing the shows and the festivals and things like that. It's you realize this is one giant family, and even for the baby bands that aren't signed yet or at that position, we're all in it together. You know what I mean? So let's just go kick ass.